he would assume, oh, these are just Niesnoians or Niesnoians? They're Niesnosians. I like that, Niesnosians. They're Niesnosians. Hey, it's the Chief, bonding with board games and RPGs. We're back with Evil Twilight 2000, Krieg. However, this season has just morphed into this giant battle that's happening at the compound. Now, before I go any further, if you like what I'm doing with these RPG playthroughs, please, if you enjoy it, thumb it, subscribe. It's kind of a mixed bag, but I like what I'm doing, so I'm going to continue doing it, but let me know if you like it by liking and subscribing. Now for that, where are we at? The last episode, LeFew, one of the contractors, Krieg is really our focus here. Our sadist contracting owner when the whole thing went south, and now they've partnered with a U.S. military group, and they're in their own base or compound, but it's being defended because there's a guy named Bartek in Niesno, who is like a nationalistic leader. And the attack on the compound that Krieg and some U.S. troops that he's partnered with is under siege right now. That compound is under siege. There was a breach on the western wall in the south portion. It was successful. A flare was fired. I know, you know now, 150 militia Bartek troops headed to that area. But oddly, they were delayed. They were delayed because this game unfolds as we go. I don't know what's going to happen because I'm using the Mythic Game Emulator. I don't get any kickbacks or anything from that, but it works awesome. I love it. Means I'm as amazed or surprised as you are with what goes on. LeFew responded down to that area of the wall, the breach, did a run and gun with some troops that were with him, and successfully took over the area. I'm also using the 48 Laws of Power to master Krieg's action. He's a sadist serial killer. We're going to set that up right now because in this, we left LeFew almost back in possession of the western wall. We'll deal with that, but we're going to pop around. We got to do a check-in with Krieg and his crew up north. We got to do a check-in with Sanchez and his orphans that are backing him up. Orphans, yes, if you're not caught up with that, you need to see how that happened. On the eastern side. And then you got Sanchez down south with dangerous breach possibly going on down there. So we're going to check in these final episodes. And this season will conclude when we've resolved, one way or the other, whatever happens with this siege. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 48.
A random number between 1 and 48 is 16.
Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard from, the more common you appear. If you are already established in a group, temporarily withdraw from it. Temporary withdrawal from it will make you more talked about, even more admired. You must learn when to leave. Create value through scarcity. All right, well, that's rather interesting. In the middle of a siege, how would he use absence to increase respect and honor? Okay, I can only think of one way off the top of my head, and that would be at some point in time to actually leave the compound as if he's going on the offensive. Okay. Leave compound. I think we'll play with that. And because I think that would be rather impressive. So we left LeFew in a lurch, kind of. They had battled back and pretty much taken back control of the breach of the wall, but there's the one Bartek Marauder guy working his light back and forth, and when we left it, the militia was arriving, and I started thinking there was such a delay with their arrival. I started to think, why? And I thought, well, you got 50 folks 3 groups of 50. And I'm thinking, how would they stage? How would they stage not knowing which northeast, south, or west they were going to be responding to? And I thought, you know what they would do? They would strip down 3 buses. That was my thought. And they would be able to load into 50 to a bus. And a bus has enough height that wherever the breach is, you wouldn't have to count on trying to get 50 people up 1 or 2 ladders. You could probably pull that bus in flush with the wall. Ladders could be used, but it would allow you to quickly get over a wall, at least do a drop onto the wall and then 6 feet down onto the ground. And I think that's what we're going to roll on. But we're not going to resolve that battle right now. We're going to resolve this. So the guy was still signaling. They kept trying to get him. He's signaling, and they're inbound. I believe we're still under chaos factor of 7. I think it's very likely that it's not one bus that's showing up. It's all 3, which is 150 folks showing up at this breach point with LeFew and his 5 U.S. troops to hold it, and the 1 militia guy from Bartek still signaling. Now, with the chaos factor of 7, I think it's very likely that that's the case. That would even explain some of the delay. Where were these buses staged? Far enough off, they just knew they had to get where they had to get to, but that they weren't moving on foot. This was all done for coordination. I like it. That's what we're going to do. Now, with it being very likely, that means it's a 95% chance that it is all 3 buses, not just 1, but it's not a sure thing. It's a 7. So that means it's an extreme yes. So it's the whole reason for the delay is these 3 buses with their 50 per bus were staged a little far enough back that it took them a while to respond. But respond they have. We're going to leave that action pending, though. We've been with LeFew for a couple episodes now. LeFew and crew are still trying to dump the guy doing the signals, but all of a sudden he sees out of the darkness, here comes not 1, but all 3 buses. And they're going to be rolling up and coming up even with the wall, and the battle's going to continue at that location. But we're going to pause there. We've been with LeFew for a while, and LeFew is the least known character. I'm like, come on, me, myself. I want to get back to Kane and Krieg. So let's shift north. You're looking at the map right now. I've got it in front of me. Krieg with the 50, with the help of the way they attacked the Claymore mine, devastated. There were 4 dudes, 2 Bartek Marauders, 2 militia that were just hunkering down at the wall. Krieg's ecstatic. He's giddy even. He feels like literally king of the world. Now, all these attacks are happening simultaneously. So he's handling his section. I've got a feeling that he's got a couple Willie Pete grenades. WP grenades or white phosphorus can be used to make smoke screens. They can be used to set on a damaged tank's engine, set it off, walk away. It burns so hot it'll melt all the way through, destroy the vehicle's engine, so it can't be used. I think he's got a couple of these. What I picture is him. So first of all, does he have a couple of these? I'm going to go 50-50, but again, we're under chaos factor of 7, which means 75%. Does he have them? I think he would have access to them, and I could see him enjoying Willie Pete grenades. But does he have them? 22. He does. And I believe what he knows is some of these, there's only 4 left, but they got through. They're hunkering down on that area in the wall where they can't depress those 50s. You can't really get shots down on that area without exposing yourself. And I think he goes on a merry little dance, pulling pins and throwing these Willie Pete grenades over the other side of the wall. Now, when these blow up, they actually will kind of spray out this white phosphorus material, some of which, even with the wall, could conceivably come up and come over the wall. It would be hard, and they burn really bright, which actually isn't a bad idea because it's forcing all that light to the areas in front. So he's got them. There's no question he's going to use them. He believes his 50. He's got his night vision on. And he's literally running along the wall, or kind of just, no, I don't picture him running. I picture him pacing the wall, pulling the pin, and yelling, "Fire in the hole, fire in the hole." Now he's got Jan, his Marauder buddy, leader with him. They brought 20 guys, I think, or was it 10? Might be 10. And I've got one of the other Marauder guys fleshed out. But he's kind of working with them, walking with them, and he's dropping these Willie Pete's over the top. I just want to see, he kind of knows where they went to ground. He's dropping, I'm thinking 4 of these along the way. And I want to go with 50-50, 75% chance under Chaos 7. Does one of these basically land in a spot that's going to take out these 4 Marauders that are, or the 4 enemy that are on the other side of this wall? 59, yes. He's dropping these in, and it just devastates, starts little fires on the other side. A lot of smoke is going on, and I picture Krieg with that sadist level. You know, you'd hear the yelling and things on the other side, so he knows it was successful. And his blood's up, and he's enjoying what's going on. He doesn't care that the 105 howitzer got car bombed right near their section, whatever. It's like the God of War thing going on now. I see him seeing 2 things. So first, we're going to come back to, I believe he's going to, in a moment, leave the base and go on the offensive out into like no man's land. That'll be consistent with number 16. But before he does that, he pulls Jan in, or Jan, and he says, Jan's a Polish guy from Gniezno. And Jan knows that Krieg has had his eye on a farm girl, I think way back from episode 4. And in the midst of this chaos, Krieg sees an opportunity. And he tells Jan, hey, grab your other Marauder that's here, and I want you to go down to the farm compound. Everything's up in the air right now. Who knows where these other militia folks are that are in that area. But, again, if you get an opportunity, snatch and grab on the farm girl. And there's the main hospital compound that Krieg's been controlling as a contractor since before, you know, the battle in Poland's been going on for some time. Before they're into this total, hey, nukes are off, everything's off, you're on your own. And I think part of what Krieg's team did was all the distasteful stuff that maybe CIA didn't want to do or that other units didn't want to do, the contractors, especially Krieg and Pim Jim, would do. So I think any good, bad serial killer would have some areas inside that hospital compound that he's been controlling for at least a year, if not 2. He's got areas where he could hold prisoners. And he tells Jan, if you're successful and you get her, take her there. So we're going to have a side mission for Jan. So a little side mission that we'll be dealing with Jan and his Marauder trying to do a snatch and grab at the farm compound of the farm wife girl that we met in episode, I think, 4. We'll deal with that in a second. Before that happens, so that's given Jan and the Marauder go. With Jan and his cohort going with him on this side mission, I believe Krieg is going to take 8 Marauders with him and basically leave the wire. He's going to go out. He goes and tells there is an army. The first platoon is holding that northern area. And he goes up and he tells them, I'm going out. I'm going on the offensive. And either the platoon sergeant or the Platoon leader's like, what? No. Well, hold the compound. Krieg comes up on his mic, calls into Major McGiffin, and says, I'm taking some Marauders and I'm pushing out into some of the buildings across from us, across the street, going to clear them. McGiffin's like, what are you talking about? And he says, I'm out. And he doesn't even take a radio with him. Yeah. All right. So this fits the absence to increase the respect and honor. Now I'm curious. As far as I know from this, he's really just dropped everybody that's been attacking him from that north side. And the breach that went down on the southwest side has taken all 150 of those troops down to that location. But you would imagine there's some scouts or somebody that are around. So we're going to flush that out, or flush. Why do I say flush? Flesh. We're going to flesh. We're going to flesh that out now. So I think the first thing is Krieg's got his night vision. He's got his silenced grease gun, M3 grease gun. We know he's a terrible shot, and he's got some Marauders with him. Now I've got a generic Marauder sheet, and I'm going to use that as the main sheet for all 8 Marauders that are with him. Now they're not phenomenal. I believe they're all C's if I remember right. I will find that, and he's going to push into these buildings that are literally straight across from the main entrance where the 105 blew up. There's some buildings across there, and there's a road across there. And it's quite possible, at the very least, we've got scouts there. If not, heck, where's Bartek's HQ? We don't know. He doesn't know. So the first thing is, as he starts to exit the base, I want to see, is there any kind of like altered scene or interrupted scene? A 10. No. Interesting. So with our chaos factor at 7, I actually thought there would be. Who knows what would happen? So I picture Krieg and his 8 Marauders using a couple things. One, there's the smoke screen from all this Willie Pete WP grenades that went out, which would cause quite a lot of smoke. It is still night. And I picture him moving straight across the 2 lanes of traffic, which you can see in the photo, and then not entering the buildings that are across, but I think clearing the areas behind them. I think clearing each building with just 9 people, that's probably not doable. What's he even looking for? I don't know. I think a lot of this is simply maybe his bloodlust is up. I think following Law 16, his absence can only increase his respect and honor. I got to admit, some people are going to think you're completely nuts going out there. So I guess the first thing is they're just doing like some crazy sweep of the area. And I'm going to call it 50-50, but at a chaos factor of 75, my question is simply, do they find anything? So 75 or less is a yes. 55, so we also have a double. So we have to do a random event focus as well. So we're going to hold on. We're going to random event. They do find something. And there's a random event. Let's do the random event first. I don't know what they're going to find, but we're going to do a quick random event just to see what happens before they find something. Maybe this will lead in. We've got 62 inspect. All right off the bat, I'm saying whatever they find is going to be related to this random event. I think that only makes sense. Inspect 58, stalemate. Inspect stalemate. All right, well, I'm thinking inspecting. Well, something fell down. All right, well, I'm thinking inspecting. Well, something fell down. I'm thinking inspect stalemate as a random event is simply them out trying to figure out what's going on. What would be the random event? Inspect stalemate. Stalemate is what's going on. The battle hasn't actually broke one way or the other yet. Maybe it's not that we're out inspecting. Maybe there's someone else. Maybe this is some kind of recon. Let's assume that. I think inspect stalemate would be there's an enemy Bartek person that is reconning the area themselves. And I picture, I picture just a dude on a motorcycle. Let's do that. A guy on a motorcycle coming through the area. Clearly, yes, clearly not expecting anybody outside the compound that would be against him. He's a scout for Bartek. This makes sense. You wouldn't think you would have any of the U.S. troops or Kane Krieg's contractors, PIMGEM, outside the wall, outside the wire, so to speak. And a motorcycle would be a great recon. So the random event is a scout driving through the area right out on this road that runs behind these buildings. And I don't think he's alert to the fact that Krieg and the Marauders are there at all. That's perfect. That is what the event is. So let me do I don't even need to roll on this. You got a loud motorcycle. He's thinking anybody, even if this motorcycle scout Bartek guy saw somebody, he would assume, oh, these are just Niesnoians or Niesnoians, citizens or other Marauders. He's not going to assume they're Kane Krieg and his Marauders, not to mention the Marauders that are with him, they're Niesnosians. I like that, Niesnosians. They're Niesnosians. So I think it's even worse for this scout. I don't think this is going to take too long because I think the scout rolls up to them thinking these are my fellow troops. I actually think that's pretty likely. We're going to do it. It's 90%. Does he just roll up like he's checking on them? 79. Yes. So I don't think this is going to last long. He literally comes up, I picture like a dirt bike, and it's loud and he's coming through, and the Marauders are kind of almost stunned, and Kane Krieg's just standing there, and I think he even pops his night vision goggles up. This guy's rolling around pretty bold, and he comes up and just rolls up on his bike and starts conversing in Polish with the Marauders that are with Krieg. Krieg has no idea what they're saying, but he can tell by the gist that this guy's basically a scout that's just asking questions. And he's within like 10 feet. So I know what Krieg's going to do. He's going to pick up the silenced M3 grease gun, and he's heavy on the trigger, and he's going to fire. Now, I got to check. I got Krieg's sheet. Haven't looked at him in a while. Here he is. So Kane Krieg on his ranged combat, he doesn't have any box there. This is why he's a terrible shot. But his agility is a C, which is a D8. This guy is super, super close. And they do have the element of surprise. So I think I'm going to up this just to a B, just because of the surprise that's going around. So that is a 10-sided die. The rate of fire on a grease gun is 3, and I believe I added an extra die because of his heavy trigger finger, if I remember right. He was always holding down a little bit longer than he should. So he's going to be rolling at this close range. God, I can't see him missing at this range. Anything's possible, however. So we're going to roll all these. This guy rolls up. I guess anything's possible. He could hit the bike instead of the guy. Let's see what he gets. Oh, boy. So he does get a 3, which means he's not going to hit the person, but he does have a couple 1s, which means he can't push this. Otherwise, he'll jam the gun. But he does have a suppress, which means this is interesting. And what, 12 rounds fired. So let's just track that over here. 12 rounds fired. Because it's a 30-round mag, so we'll see. I think he might get one more shot as this guy panics and flees, but he's suppressed. All the better. So the coolness under fire. I think we're going to do this militia guy, the scout, as a simple 6-sided die, as if he's a cuff of D. He wasn't expecting this at all, but I would like to see, hey, if he gets a 6, he doesn't panic is what I'm going to roll this guy as. He gets a 2. Krieg, that's about how an M3 grease gun fires. Don't forget it's fully silenced, so all you get is... And the guy's not even sure what in the heck's hitting the... hitting the motorcycle, but it's ting, 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 and he literally dumps the bike down, and he's kind of heavy, but he's down on the ground. Krieg thinks he's got him, and lets off. Again, he's got 12 rounds gone, and he says something to the Marauders like, "I dumped him, check him." This is it. Yeah. The ineptitude here is something. And the Marauders move in on this scout who's completely panicked and mystified as these other Polish Marauders are picking him up roughly and checking him out and realize he's not even wounded. They're like, I can hear them chattering like, how in the hell did he miss him? That's perfect, actually. So again, Krieg's a terrible shot, and he's just missed this guy. I think the guy is panicked and is basically wants to know, he's basically saying, I'm with Bartek, thinking that it's some kind of friendly fire thing. And so the question is this, I want to know, I think we probably got one of these smart Marauders that are with Krieg that using his Polish, he's a knees-nose-in, he simply says, I think he plays it off. Does he play it off smartly and see if he can gain information? Does he play it off smart? Let's just go 50-50. That's a 75% chance of a yes. Ooh, a 95, which is just shy of an extreme no. But he doesn't play it off and work it. He tells them, basically, yeah, we know who you are, jackass. And we're not who you think we are. Okay? So no trickery, no trying to figure out any kind of recon information. He just basically calls him a dumbass and says, you rolled up on your enemy. Yeah, and you're very lucky you're not dead. I think he says if this guy could shoot, you wouldn't be talking. All right, so I think Krieg gets the feel of this. Doesn't understand what's being spoken. but he can hear the disdain. Maybe even a, and he realizes, and Krieg doesn't like it. And I know exactly what he does. He walks up, he contacts with his M3, and he rips off the rest of it wouldn't be the rest of the mag. It's a slow firing gun. But let's see how many rounds he's going to put into this guy at point blank. So we got another 6, and I believe this would be what would happen. So we've got 12 more rounds. So 12 more rounds have been fired off. He then immediately just does a reload and pops in another one. I forget how the bolt works. I think it's just a simple pullback bolt. And the scout has been killed. And the Marauders that are with Krieg are a little bit like, I think one of them says, well, you can't miss if you're that close. But again, that's done in Polish. So I think even one of the other guys says, well, I hope he can do that all the time, get that close. Yeah, I think there's some dark humor there. I think they're kind of like, well, I guess he's going to need to get that close to do whatever he needs to do. The motorbike was hit. Is the motorbike completely out of, is it damaged? 50-50, 27. Yeah, I think the motorbike is kind of jacked up. I think it absorbed most of Krieg's rounds. So Krieg's got a reload done. They're out and about. Nobody really heard those shots because they're silenced. And we're going to leave Krieg out there at this point in time. It's in line with Rule 16. We've handled the random event, and I think that's a good spot to leave them. Thank you for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the process as much as I am. See you guys. Chief, bonding with board games and RPGs.